Bueno, amigos, estamos con una verdadera leyenda del boxeo, Jim Lampley. ¿Quién no conoce a Jim Lampley, que fue durante mucho tiempo la voz de HBO Boxing y que ahora está trabajando con payperview.com? Well, my friends, we're here with a real legend, a man that I admire much. And who don't know Jim Lampley, the legendary voice of HBO Boxing, and now working for payperview.com. We have the pleasure to heard your comments and the Canelo fight, and now again we'll have the pleasure to have your insight for this important fight between Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. So, first of all, do you like this fight? Do you think this is a fight that really needs boxing?
I love the fight. I love the fact that you pronounce it Andrade. He does not. You know, they say Andrade. I think that's obviously an Americanization of the name. I've always thought of him sort of instinctively as Andrade because, as you know, I grew up part of the time in Miami in a Hispanic culture, Spanish-speaking people, et cetera, and the name just sounds to me as though it ought to be Andrade, but they say Andrade. The fight is a classic style contrast. Benavidez is a go-forward destroyer. Andrade is a tricky southpaw counterpuncher with a lot of different skills. And I think it's pretty close to a 50-50 fight. It's difficult to favor either of the guys going in because neither has been in this much of a big fight situation before. And obviously the image and the shadow of Canelo hangs over the entire promotion, not just these two fighters, but other fighters on the card, including David Benavidez's brother, Jose Benavidez, Jermell Charlo, the 1 minute older of the two Charlos, brother of Canelo's most recent opponent there on the card. So there are several fighters on the card who want their next fight or a soon-to-come fight to be against Canelo, which is, of course, the biggest check in the sport. So,
bueno, perdimos momentáneamente a Jim Lampley, pero estoy seguro que lo vamos a tener de vuelta muy pronto. Esperemos que él esté regresando. Ustedes saben que Jim Lampley es una de las figuras más importantes que hay en el mundo del boxeo, en la narración deportiva, alguien a quien todo el mundo, todos los que estamos en este deporte, vemos como un maestro porque durante décadas estuvo siendo la voz del boxeo en HBO Boxing junto a Larry Merchant en algún momento y después con Max Kellerman, llevándonos siempre lo mejor del boxeo. Vamos a esperar que se reconecte nuevamente Jim Lampley, ¿ok? Vamos a esperar un momentico. Bueno, aquí tenemos nuevamente al maestro que está conectándose. I'm here, Jim. I'm here.
Why Fred Sternberg did that to the middle. But so, shall we start over? Is that fine?
No. Come on.
Or shall I continue with the answers I was giving you?
Yeah.
Start video. There I am.
Okay.
So I was halfway through a lengthy answer. Shall I continue or start over?
Continue, please. Don't worry. Continue.
Okay. So there are several fighters on the card who want their next fight to be against Canelo. And that's not at all unusual given his market power compared to almost every other fighter in the sport. And, you know, there's an urge not just to win, but to look impressive doing it. And that pressure falls on Andrade, it falls on David Benavidez, it falls on Benavidez's brother Jose, it falls on Jermell Charlo. 4 different fighters who really want that big Canelo type paycheck and now have a platform on which to mount that kind of a campaign. And it'll be the first time I've covered David Benavidez, and I'm particularly interested in him because among the many ventures I pursued while I was working for HBO and in the HBO universe, I had a contract to seek to produce a drama series for HBO. And the drama series I wanted to produce would have centered around a Mexican-American heavyweight. A Mexican-American heavyweight contender would be the biggest star in boxing and one of the biggest entertainment commodities on the planet when and if that takes place. And Benavidez obviously is at 168 pounds. That's 50 pounds away from being a credible heavyweight. However, this is a young man who, when he was 13 years old, reduced his weight by 80 pounds en route to seeking to become a competitive athlete. So he's already been in the weight neighborhood where he would have to go to become a heavyweight. And when I asked him, does this horizon exist in your mind? He said, oh, yeah, certainly. I can see a path in my style of fighting under which I win a 168-pound crown, win a light heavyweight crown, move up to cruiserweight, move up to heavyweight, and seek exactly that destiny that you're talking about. And he's handsome, and he's well-spoken, and he has a natural charisma that I had not really known about before I did the interview with him the other day. So I'm intrigued by him in that regard, but I regard it as a 50-50 style fight. You know, somebody's style is going to be too difficult for the other. And generally speaking, in this kind of matchup, do you like the go-forward destroyer or do you like the tricky southpaw? The tricky southpaw, in my way of thinking, has an advantage and often wins a decision in this fight.
You say it's 50-50. Andrade, so it's like a Rigondeaux of the bigger weight, a guy who's slippery, he hit and, you know, moves around a lot. Benavidez had the chance to fight Morrell. They have like an intention to fight Morrell, and then they make a 180 degrees change and go to fight Andrade. Is Andrade more difficult than Morrell, and why he choose Andrade over Morrell in your thinking?
It's a whale of a question, and I can only speculate because I don't know that answer for sure. I did not get enough information from Benavidez and the interview that I conducted with him to have a clear picture for you as to why they veered away from Morrell and toward Andrade. Maybe they thought it was the safer fight. I competitively, I don't see that. Maybe they think they get more credit for beating someone with a decidedly difficult style who has been avoided by Canelo. You can't yet say that Morrell is a fighter whom Canelo has avoided as an opponent. You can, if you want to prick Canelo's skin and get on his nerves, and I think Benavidez is interested in that. You can certainly do that by arguing that he avoided Andrade. When Andrade invaded Canelo's news conference after his win over Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo was visibly upset and angry at being prodded by him. And Andrade was presenting everything in terms of, hey, man, you're a great fighter. I'm complimenting you. I'm just saying, when can we get together? And Canelo's response was basically, get out of here.
Terrible fighter.
Yeah, so Benavidez can say, I'm fighting somebody that Canelo wanted no part of. And that could become part of the platform for moving forward toward the biggest paycheck. Maybe he thought that fighting Morrell, similar style, was treading water, as opposed to fighting Andrade, who has a slightly bigger name and an American background.
How sure you are, because Canelo is still king in pay-per-view, in the merchandising, everything. Canelo is still king in boxing. How confident are you that the winner of the fight will fight Canelo, will face Canelo?
Well, I don't think you can be totally confident about anything because, yes, Canelo is still number one dollar for dollar. He's the biggest economic attraction in the sport. But there are now writers and authorities within the sport of boxing who would say #1 pound for pound is not Canelo anymore, it's Terence Crawford. And, if Canelo is closer to the finish than to the middle of his career, I have said this repeatedly. I think the biggest goal for him is to retire #1 pound for pound, to go out on top in that regard. Dollar for dollar, how much money can you make? How many fabulous dinners and beautiful homes and gorgeous horses can you buy before all of that has somewhat flattened out in your consciousness? The aim to be #1 pound for pound, that's a fire that never stops burning. And when I said to him, how do you feel about Crawford having ascended to the #1 pound for pound perch? He immediately said to me, oh no, I'm still the #1 pound for pound fighter in the sport. And certainly he put on a performance against Charlo that would square with that. He looked indomitable, he looked unbeatable, he has an impregnable chin. And when you have an impregnable chin, that gives you the right to do a lot of other things in the ring, take risks that other fighters can't possibly take. He knows his chin is impregnable. He spent 36 rounds with Gennady Golovkin and didn't go down. So you can have no stronger evidence of your chin than what Canelo has already gathered. And I think that that's one of the reasons why he is saying, hey, wait a minute, why would anybody rank Crawford pound for pound #1 when I'm bigger than he is? He would have to come up in weight to fight me, and I'll kick his ass.
Well, Mr. Jim Lampley, it's been an honor to speak with you again. I hope that you have a great conversation with fans the night of the fight, and I hope that you still enjoy being at the fight for the rest of your life.
Yes, and tell all of your consumers, your listeners, your audience, they buy the pay-per-view, they listen to the pay-per-view commentary. At the same time, they subscribe to ppv.com, and they see in text what Lance Pugmire and I have to say about the fight, and they can be part of the discussion. They can send in questions or comments to Lance and me, which we can also put on the air with them. So it's all a new kind of fun festival of feedback and sharing as we watch the fight together. Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure and my honor. Real. Thank you.
Talk to you later.